Right now, the Strait of Hormuz is fully closed. Iran has locked global oil supply routes shut. Trump has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to Tehran. Congress is talking impeachment over the Iran war, and 12 billion meals hang in the balance worldwide. Live, real-time breaking news. Day 79 of the Iran war, May 18, 2026. Every headline right now is a global tipping point. Overnight, May 17-18 brought irreversible escalation. Iran fully closed the Strait of Hormuz to Western-flagged ships. Every tanker, cargo vessel, and naval craft is denied passage. President Trump responded with a strict 48-hour public ultimatum. He demands Iran lift the blockade immediately. He demands an end to all proxy military attacks region-wide. He demands unconditional return to nuclear negotiation tables. The White House warns of nationwide Iranian strikes if refused. Pakistan's months-long mediation effort has completely collapsed. No diplomatic back channels remain open between Washington and Tehran. Iran's Revolutionary Guards defend the total maritime shutdown. They frame the blockade as self-defense against U.S. aggression. Iranian leadership states Western nations cannot dictate regional rules. They reject Trump's ultimatum as arrogant and non-negotiable. Iranian naval assets patrol every mile of Hormuz waters right now. No compromise will be offered on shipping control or sovereignty. Global energy expert analysis. Bloomberg. Energy analysts warn this full blockade triggers immediate oil market panic. Every hour of closure raises risk of global supply chain collapse. 40% of the world's oil moves through this single narrow strait. Trump's deadline creates a ticking clock for worldwide economic chaos. On May 18th, key bipartisan congressional leaders opened impeachment discussions. The core charge: abuse of war powers in the ongoing Iran war. Lawmakers argue Trump ignored War Powers Act judicial rulings. He has waged open-ended military action without legal authorization. Congress states presidential unilateral war power breaks constitutional balance. Both moderate Republicans and progressive Democrats are united in concern. White House legal response: Trump administration. The White House insists ceasefires pause the 60-day war powers clock. They claim federal court rulings back this unprecedented legal stance. Trump calls congressional impeachment talk a political distraction. He refuses to limit military strategy for domestic political pressure. Constitutional expert analysis. Georgetown Legal Institute. Analysts warn this is a defining constitutional crisis for modern U.S. governance. If Trump continues evading congressional oversight, future presidents follow suit. The Iran war is reshaping how America legally wages global conflict forever. Iranian humanitarian release, IRNA, CNN. Iran released full forensic and witness evidence May 18th from the Manab bombing. Official confirmed toll: 183 children killed in the U.S. airstrike. Medical records, burial logs, and civilian video footage were published globally. This toll far exceeds earlier Pentagon partial casualty disclosures. Iran calls the strike a deliberate war crime against defenseless youth. U.S. Pentagon response. DoD. Fox News. The Pentagon has not disputed the updated child death toll. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faces bipartisan resignation calls. Lawmakers accuse him of covering up civilian casualties for weeks. The administration continues framing the strike as targeting militant infrastructure. Humanitarian global reaction. Red Cross International. Global humanitarian groups condemn the scale of child loss. Public outrage surges across Europe, Asia, and Latin America overnight. This single bombing has redefined global public opinion on the Iran war. May 18th marks a catastrophic escalation in global food security. UN Secretary General Guterres declared a level 5 global famine emergency. The root cause: Iran's full Hormuz blockade halting ammonia and urea exports. 12 billion weekly meals are now at severe risk of disappearing globally. East Africa, South Asia, and the Middle East face mass starvation imminently. Global civilian impact: World Food Program. Field reports farmers across 37 nations lose critical fertilizer access overnight. Planting seasons fail in regions already facing chronic food shortages. Refugee flows are expected to spike as food becomes unaffordable. Economic agricultural expert analysis. Yara Fertilizer Global Leadership. The world's largest fertilizer producer warns no short-term fixes exist. Only full reopening of Hormuz can reverse this cascading hunger disaster. The Iran war is no longer regional. It is creating worldwide famine risk. Spain and Italy formally announced U.S. troop withdrawal timelines on May 18th. This splits NATO into pro-U.S. and neutral European factions permanently. European allies refuse to back Trump's open-ended Iran war escalation. They cite civilian casualties, economic harm, and lack of diplomatic strategy. This is the deepest fracture in NATO's 77-year collective defense history. U.S. NATO response, State Department. Washington condemns the troop withdrawal decisions as betrayal of alliance values. Trump threatens further retaliatory cuts to European military support funding. Global security expert analysis, Chatham House. Global Risk Institute. Analysts state the Iran war has destroyed decades of transatlantic unity. European nations now prioritize regional stability over unconditional U.S. backing. Global power balance shifts permanently in favor of non-Western influence. Brent crude oil surged to $122.64 per barrel in real-time trading May 18th. Iran's total Hormuz closure triggered global oil market panic buying. U.S. national gasoline prices hit $4.68 per gallon, a four-year record high. Fuel inflation ripples into every consumer sector nationwide. Groceries, shipping, heating, and public transit costs all jump overnight. Average American households pay $120 more monthly in fuel costs alone. Low-income communities face impossible transportation budget burdens. Global market expert analysis. Wall Street economic strategists. Analysts warn inflation will hit 4.2% nationwide by early summer. The Iran war's energy shock is directly driving U.S. domestic economic decline. U.S. agricultural official data, American Farm Bureau Federation, NPR. May 18th real-time farm surveys show 81% of U.S. farmers lack required fertilizer. Iran war-driven global supply collapse is the direct root cause. Hundreds of family farms filed bankruptcy across the Midwest in 24 hours. Iowa, Illinois, and Nebraska see highway blockades from mass farmer protests. Farmers demand federal emergency fertilizer imports and financial relief packages. Rural community human impact, Purdue University, rural economic studies, small rural towns face collapse as core agricultural income disappears. U.S. domestic food production faces major yield losses for the 2026 growing season. Domestic economic expert analysis, USDA policy advisors. This crisis threatens U.S. national food independence long-term. Grocery store price spikes will continue worsening through late 2026. The Iran war is now hitting America's heartland directly and painfully. FIFA Global Sports Leadership, Gianni Infantino, Reuters. FIFA officially delayed releasing Iran's 2026 U.S. World Cup match schedule May 18th. Active Iran war tensions create unsolvable security and diplomatic barriers. U.S. intelligence agencies warn of potential militant threats tied to regional conflict. FIFA prioritizes athlete safety, fan protection, and geopolitical risk mitigation. Iran demands equal diplomatic treatment for athletes competing on U.S. soil. Iranian officials reject one-sided security restrictions targeting their national team. This standoff shows how war reshapes global cultural and sporting events. The World Cup becomes a high-stakes political stage for the U.S.-Iran conflict. Israeli government military position, Times of Israel. Full-scale war erupted May 18th between Israel and Lebanon. Iran-backed Hezbollah launched hundreds of precision missiles into Israeli civilian zones. Israeli retaliatory airstrikes killed 44 Lebanese civilians in border communities. The Iran war now expands into a multi-front regional Middle Eastern conflict. Iran frames Hezbollah strikes as legitimate pushback against U.S. regional aggression. Tehran continues arming proxy groups across Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. Border hospitals are overwhelmed with civilian casualties from both sides overnight. Ceasefire frameworks established weeks ago are now permanently destroyed. U.S. Border Patrol real-time intelligence. AP Southern Border reports. May 18th, data shows Mexican cartel drug and human trafficking jumped 28% in 24 hours. Global maritime smuggling routes shift away from blockaded Hormuz toward Latin America. U.S. southern border arrests and violent cartel crime hit a 2-year real-time high. Border communities face increased gang violence, human trafficking, and fentanyl flows. Law enforcement resources are stretched thin by the Iran war-driven global chaos spillover. This is a clear example of how far-off war directly destabilizes U.S. domestic security. Today, May 18th, day 79 of the Iran war, every global system fractures at once. Oil supply routes close, famines loom, alliances break, farmers collapse, borders destabilize. Trump's 48-hour ultimatum ticks down while impeachment talks grow louder. The single question the world faces right now: will global diplomacy reopen Hormuz before the Iran war spirals into worldwide chaos?